live struggle legacy. It's a whole movement.
I got you, big baby. I keep the struggle live struggle, live music. Pay attention to how we do it. And so my dog who never made it out. Live struggle, I got you, homie. We break it out, live struggle, live music. Pay attention to how we do it. And so my dog who never made it out. Live struggle, I got you, homie. The things we do when we down on our luck, like a dolphin, anything to get fucked up. What you think? Now we out here trying to get locked up. Desperation brings desperate measures trying to come up.
Hey everybody, it's your boy MP, Live Struggle Legacy, and welcome to the Live Struggle Legacy Podcast, Season 3. Now real quick, if you haven't already done so, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that notification button. Drop a comment, start a conversation. If you're listening on a streaming platform, please make sure you hit that follow button, download, save, rate us. And if you're looking to promote your business, holler at me because we're looking for sponsors. Okay, so we have another special guest in the house today. I want to introduce you all to none other than Deaf Child.
Hi, how you doing, everybody? Right?
Welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, anytime, man. It's been a pleasure so far.
So Deaf Child and I are just getting to know each other. We connected on Facebook, and we have some similar struggles. He's going to share some of that. He's definitely involved in music, production, right?
Yeah, all kinds of stuff.
All kinds
I
of
used
stuff.
to DJ live for a long time. If you're from Pinellas, you might have seen me DJing in some strip clubs.
Excellent.
Right?
So before we get into your life struggle, I just want to know what you saw in our platform that resonated, right? What piqued your attention and brought you in alignment with the Live Struggle Legacy podcast?
It's more like the perspective that was presented, from what I've seen of people trying to have positivity and overcome adversity instead of just dwelling in it or, wallowing in it and being like, oh, poor me. It's sometimes beneficial for people out there to see that somebody can go through some really difficult stuff and still make something of their life and turn it around and become positive. So hopefully even somebody like me, if I tell you my story and how bad it was at some point, now I'm doing great, So now I feel like anybody, if you're doing great in life and you've gone through adversity, to be able to lend that to somebody else who might be struggling through stuff is a positive thing to do in the world.
Man, I love it, brother, because you're speaking our language right now. That is literally what we do on this show. So that lets me know that, this is absolutely in alignment. So let's dive right into it, bro. Tell us your life struggle, man. What's your story? However deep you want to go.
I probably got to start at the beginning. This might be a kind of interesting thing, and I don't know how much is related to it or not. But before I was born, right, my mother used to take LSD and stuff like that. She didn't do any other drugs, no marijuana, no alcohol, anything like that. But LSD during the early parts of pregnancy, before she knew she was pregnant, she was taking it. So when I was born at Bayfront down in St. Pete, I was part of some kind of study to see how that affected me. I don't really know how it affected me, if it was positive or negative or what. But growing up, I immediately came into the world of struggle. My brother died basically not soon after he was born. Then when I was about 7, my sister, who was like a year younger than me, Irish twin, she died in a car accident. And that car accident fucked my mom up. So she was in the hospital for 6 months or something like that. They said she would never walk again, right? She had 17 different breaks and fractures in her spine, all kind of stuff. She can run around everything now. If you've seen her these days, you wouldn't know. So originally my mom was the inspiration for this type of stuff because I seen doctors basically telling her, if you can walk again in your life, you're going to need a walker for the rest of your life. She was like, fuck that, right?
She bounced back.
Yeah, she bounced back, So then obviously growing up, I had just a kind of normal childhood as best as I could, bouncing around and going through all that kind of stuff. And, I always, when I was younger, I said, I'll never do drugs, right? Why would somebody do drugs? And then, of course, I got into them myself. So I started smoking weed and stuff. And then I still did. I was like, I thought everything was just like weed. That's how I'll never, what is cocaine? That's just like weed that makes you hyper. And I thought heroin was like weed that makes you go to sleep. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't until I took acid and I was like, oh, there's some more to this drug stuff. So I started exploring. So around 2003, 2004, I started to get introduced to research chemicals. So I was originally getting research chemicals from all over the world, different,
for example,
like mescaline analogs and stuff back then, 2CI, 2CE.
So like synthetic mescaline.
Basically, yeah. And that's, a lot of people are familiar with those. And back in the day, there was a guy named Alexander Shulgin, a chemist. He wrote 2 books, Piccal and Tikal. Phenethylamines I've known and loved, and tryptamines I've known and loved. From those 2 books, I try to eat damn near everything in there that I could find. If I could get my hands on it, I wanted to see. I was like a psychonaut. I wanted to experience different stuff, you know, but that only was positive for so long because I got out into the world and started to do all kinds of other stuff. If it was black market, gray market, whatever, I tried to consume it. So I had my own struggles with stuff, you know, all kinds of different drugs. Fortunately, you know, I was able to get past all that, but it set me off on a bad track. And when I was younger, when I first turned 18, I had a misdemeanor marijuana possession charge. And for that misdemeanor marijuana possession charge, back then in Florida, you lose your license for 2 years. So they, you know, took my license for 2 years, and I didn't pay some stuff, and I got in trouble again, some just hoodlum stuff. I was like a petty thief, basically, and stuff when I was a kid. They sent me a letter in the mail saying that my license was revoked at some point because I didn't pay this thing. I was like, whatever. I messed up, got in trouble again. They sent me another letter saying they were going to suspend my license. How can you suspend my license that's revoked? I said, I'm not messing with these people no more. And I didn't. For 17 years, I did not drive a vehicle at all. You know what I'm saying? So it was very difficult. Living in Pinellas, we don't really have public transportation that's super reliable or anything like that. You need a car over there, you know? So that kind of set me off on a downward spiral, losing my license at that time. And I got involved in some more bad stuff. I had bad charges, like a masked armed robbery and stuff. That's what happened to me in 2009. And I didn't mass arm rob nobody. I was trying to get my own money back from somebody, you know, and it went south. And what ended up happening was I had warrants for that for some period of time. I didn't know right away I had warrants for it, but I found out in 2010 or like the end of 2009. And I said, well, I'm not going to turn myself in. I'm just going to go wilding out. So I started to get more research chemicals, right? Around this time is when something called MDMC came out, or beta-ketone MDMA. It's very similar to ecstasy. And so I seen there was a lot of money in it. And I started getting just kilos of the stuff. I couldn't even get it in fast enough. And it was great for me at the time, making money, running from the law, trying to live it up, living my best life. You know, it was also a very expensive endeavor. And of course, now what do I have to show for it? Not too much from those days, you know, but that was like another, I thought I was doing good, but I was just going further down into the downward spiral of stuff because I was getting consumed by the lifestyle. And eventually all that shit did catch up to me. So at one point in 2011, they finally did catch me for my warrants, but I had so much money. I said, well, I'm gonna bond out right now. If you guys give me a bond, the police that was arresting me, I was dressed like a homeless person, basically. You know, I didn't care about my appearance at all. I think they gave me a bond just as a joke because they thought I wouldn't bond out. As soon as I got in there, I bonded out. So then I had to start dealing with it, getting lawyers. That costs a lot of money. While I'm doing that, my lawyer, who used to be a prosecutor, he gets indicted by the feds. I hadn't been indicted at this point yet, unrelated to my case. And I thought, man, the court's going to be prejudiced against me because my lawyer got indicted. Like, what kind of weird stuff is this? And then right around that time, somebody set me up. One of my best friends I'd known for a long time. I'd like kind of closed my circle down, and this fool came over to my house, and I thought he was sending text messages on a new cell phone, but I guess I was on video. And all I did was I took money. I just didn't want to deal with this fool at all. You know, I was like messed up on drugs. I said, look, deal with me tomorrow. I'm too high. But I finally did. All I did is took the money, put it in my pocket. This fool didn't even give me all the money. I would sell to him at cost and then make it up on the back end. So the next day when I went to go Western Union to China, I had to cover the rest of the money out of my pocket. The address he gave him to send it to was the fucking DEA. I did not know until they kicked in my door, right? But once again, when they kicked in my door, I thought I had it made because they hit me on the wrong day. I had nothing. I had like $3 in cash in my house, no drugs, no nothing. I thought I was gonna beat it for sure. I didn't realize I got set up on video, taking the money and all that shit, right? So I basically had to go through that whole charade.
So it was ghost dope. There wasn't even any dope.
So this, you know how they do conspiracy. I originally had conspiracy to import, conspiracy to distribute, importation actual, and distribution actual. The only thing I could never beat off that was conspiracy to import, just because one person said, he said, I used to buy 1 or 2 kilos a month for the last several months from him. So off that and some shipping wrappers they found in my house, empty stuff, they tried to originally charge me with 20 kilograms and MDMA, thank God, because that's what they charged me as. Even though I didn't have MDMA, I had MDMC. What's crazy, I got indicted on October 11th of 2011 for importing MDMC. They didn't make it Schedule 1 until 10 days later. So my argument was, if this was already Schedule 1 under the Analogs Act, then why did you have to make it emergency Schedule 1 after you indicted me, right? There's a very nice research chemicals testing facility over in Largo now, probably because of me, right? I don't want to take full responsibility for it, but probably because of all this type stuff, what I did back then. And so I try to fight it. MDMA, though, is 500 grams to 1. You know, in the feds, they convert everything over to marijuana for some dumb reason. It doesn't make any sense. And even though I fought it down to 4 kilograms, my sentencing range was basically the same. It was nothing, you know, to go through all that hassle. And I don't know if you've ever gone through the process. I know you have. So once they indicted me, they started trying to indict other people to talk against me and stuff like that. It was a horrible, ratchet time. I fought it out for as long as I could, you know?
I went in on conspiracy.
Yeah.
145 months, bro.
Yeah, sucks.
That was my sentence. You know what I mean? Until the 2 levels shit.
Yeah.
Bam, bro. So it wasn't even MDMA.
Yeah, it was MDMC, you know, and I honestly thought that it wasn't illegal. Back then, we all used to say, everybody in the research chemicals community, I had websites and stuff like that if it wasn't for human consumption, it's okay. Because the Controlled Substance Analogs Act has 3 prongs. It says it has to be similar to a Schedule 1 substance, like in structure, it has to be similar in effect, and it has to be sold for human consumption. What I didn't know, what a lot of other people out there might not realize if you mess with research chemicals, is that is not how they read that law at all. They don't read it in the conjunctive, they read it in the disjunctive. So they don't say and between those things, they say or. Giving the confusing situation where technically it's illegal to sell anything for human consumption based on the Controlled Substances Analogs Enforcement Act. Doesn't make any sense, but that's just how it is, you know? So that's, I think, kind of when my real struggle began, because here I go from being on top of the world to all of a sudden I'm pulled down into this mess of going to prison, you know? And so I bounced around all these different prisons, you know, I ended up in Otisville in New York, which to get there you have to go through Oklahoma. I'm sure you've been to that. It's like everybody goes to Oklahoma.
You flew Con. Did you see the duct tape on the wing?
I didn't, but I'd never been on an airplane before.
Oh,
I was scared as hell. I never seen snow either.
Shit. But I will tell you this. See, I have been on an airplane, so you don't have anything to compare. Yeah. But the thing about them U.S. Marshal pilots or whoever the fuck is driving that plane. So to paint this picture, I think I said this in season 1, if y'all been rocking with me. But where he was talking about Oklahoma, I spent 3 months there. And
that's a long time.
And you pull into a fucking hangar. And it connects to, what do you call it, a terminal or whatever,
you don't even
right?
touch the tarmac. You walk right off the plane into the prison.
You walk, just like you're going to fucking Tampa International, and you walk right into a federal correctional fucking...
Before I got there, they said, yeah, the walls are all diamond plated. I didn't know they were talking about like a toolbox.
Right?
I was like, oh no.
And then you see all like the Masonic symbols on the floor, like everything is shaped like there's some stuff going on.
Yeah, it's weird, that place. Unless some people end up going to Grady County over there. Thank God I didn't do that. I didn't get stuck there for no 3 months. That's a long. I got stuck there one time for like a month and a half.
And you know what's fucked over there? I don't know if you noticed this, but you got a lot of reservations over there. So you got a lot of, you know, indigenous peoples in there fucked up on Fed shit. Really probably ain't got no business being in there, but anything in a reservation is a federal offense.
Same thing with DC.
Same thing with DC. DC is a social experiment. Yeah. That's why DC's so fucked. I don't know if y'all know this, but in DC, if you get too many traffic citations, instead of doing county time, you fucking do Fed time. So you got people that are non-violent offenders and they get sent to fucking USPs full of violent people because they don't give a fuck about people from DC.
Well, it goes the other way too, because those guys have different sentencing and stuff, so they don't care that this guy's been watching the same show on that TV every day for the last 7 years. They'll put a lock in a sock and change the fucking channel, you know, like they have no kind of regular prison etiquette. From what I could tell, dealing with most other people. You know? Yeah.
So I don't want to disrespect anybody from DC, but with general consensus, the motherfucker shot out and fed. And then there's a little stigma. Well, I don't even, stigma's not the proper word. It's more of a rivalry with Florida and DC. So already, if you're from Florida and somebody's from DC, like that could potentially be a problem. Right.
I mean, DC beefs with everybody, but I was good friends with some people from DC, and they're not, you know, I don't judge everybody the same. Every individual is unique, you know.
So, and just like you said, like when I was in Williamsburg, Meadow High, South Carolina, FCI, there was a bunch of DC dudes there, and I didn't know about the politics. I was green as fuck. It was my first spot. I was just glad to see I didn't have to put a knife in nobody my first couple months, because that's my mind frame. Like, you know, like I'm not a violent person, but you're not going to touch my commissary. And the first thing I'm thinking is, anybody try me, I'm gonna put a knife in them. We're gonna just end the shit off rip. You know what I mean? Like that's where my mind was. And then it was OG that told me. He's like, He's like, listen, man, chill out. If you ain't gambling, you ain't getting no politics. You ain't
They say avoid the
that
3
shit.
G's. Don't. They say
No
gambling and gangs.
No gambling, no gangs, and no gay shit.
Yeah.
Right? Straight up, like that's the whole thing.
Listen, it worked out for me. You know what I'm
Same,
saying?
bro. I never had any problems, bro, because I didn't gamble. I didn't fucking do drugs. And I didn't do gay shit. So
I mean, I ain't gonna lie, the pen was difficult as hell. You know what I'm saying?
But you were locked down most of the time, right?
No, we were out most of the time. I mean, we did get like some little periods where people got killed and stuff and we had to get locked down. But over there, it's like if you know a bus is coming in, most likely we might get locked down at least for that day because somebody's gonna get jumped on as soon as the bus comes. And every time when we start getting locked down, people go, "Goddamn white boys again!" They're always the ones jumping on everybody.
See, I wasn't at no white boy spot. There wasn't no. It was actually hilarious for me. So like I don't know what your prison experience was like. I don't know what, like, I didn't know you in the street like that. We're just meeting, but like, I grew up different. I didn't grow up around people that looked like me. You know what I mean? And so when you go to prison, everything's politics. And where I was at in Williamsburg, South Carolina, there were 1,800 people on a compound, and there were less than 100 white guys, right? And so when you get on the yard, everybody watches you. Everybody, when the bus comes, everybody watches because you're looking for homeboys, especially those white boys. So they're like, they see a white boy, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, what up, homeboy? Homeboy, I don't know you. You know what I mean? They're giving you care package. They're like, and I'm like, yo, I'm straight. You know what I mean? I already knew, like, you don't take anything from anybody in prison, but I didn't realize they were looking for comrades, and the thing is, I came in with my co-defendant, right?
Oh,
and so my co-defendant is also a white guy, but he was on my case. He was the only other white boy on the case, right? And he grew up in the hood. He grew up around people that didn't look like him, but he also, he's a little more friendly than me, right? And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I just mean, like, I'm super on guard, and especially in there, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm much more reserved and not so friendly, and so. Whereas him, on the other hand, those guys are like, hey, what up, homeboy? He's like, hey, what up, homeboy? You know, so anyway, but we made a pact, like, when we hit the yard, that we weren't going to just in case something pop off, we were gonna be with each other. We're gonna walk with each other because we were in the same unit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We were in different cells. We were in the same unit. We ended up going into the same cell, but and that's a whole crazy story because he had a bunkie that was he was BMF. You know what I mean? And he was on Big Meech's case, and he had like a 30-year bid, and he was a ticket man. So he had bread. He was from Charleston. You know, we're in South Carolina. And these Charleston boys put the press on him. They fucked him up, and then he went up top on him. You know what I mean? And he checked in. Yeah. And if you don't know what that means, we're using some vernacular that you may not understand.
They got run up top.
So run up top means that somebody pressed you and said, like, basically, you better put yourself in the SHU, special housing, which is the whole or solitary confinement, or we're going to fuck you up. Or, on the other hand, you don't want to get fucked up. So what does he do? He goes in and checks in. And people go to such desperate measures to check in. Like, let's say you get into debt. You know a motherfucker going to put a knife in you. So you might go just randomly pick a victim. I've literally seen this happen. Dude go into chow hall and just punch the most innocent and softest looking person that they know, because they know they're not going to fight back, but they know you're going to get locked up for assaulting somebody.
People think that don't follow them, though, but it does. They'll be showing up at the next compound with somebody.
Oh, somebody go send a kite. Somebody go send a kite. You can't escape shit in there. Everybody's going to see everything that you do, and it's going to come to light. But anyway, so in that then we ended up becoming cellies because his cell opened up. But the whole point I wanted to make was the politics, and I said this in another episode, but you can vouch for this because you've been there. When you go into the chow hall, that's where you know who you are. When you go in that chow hall, where you sit, that's who you are. Yeah. So child molesters sit over here. You know what I mean?
If they have them on the compound. You
got snitches or the neutral table over here, right? And then
you might have different. Okay, so when I was in the pen, right, this is what I seen when I got there. The first thing, and I was scared. I never been to the pen before. Yeah, I've been to Pinellas County Jail in a medium, but I already knew it was going to be rough before I got there. First thing I see is a bunch of people hanging on the fence saying, any GDs, any folks? And I'm like, oh, dear Lord, what am I getting myself into? And I go into the unit, and I was in a unit called 4B in McCreary, which is, the other side is all some kind of program for people that's trying to get their life together. I was on the bad people disciplinary side. And in my unit was the shot caller for the Bloods, Sex, Money, Murder, Crips, Mexican Mafia, and some other ones. But there was no white gangs in my unit. They basically all had their own units, all the weird Aryan gangs, stuff like that, Armsack, all that stuff. My unit was for independent white boys. And so I basically got along with everybody, and the white boys in there did not like me. And I seen it, and a lot of people told me, if you start fucking with them people in those gangs, you will never go home. They'll have you killing somebody, doing something else. You'll be in here for the rest of your life fucking with those people. They basically cannibalize their own people. I don't know if it's because they're the minority there or what. You know, but I avoided it. I never tried to tip up because I knew if I tipped up, that was going to be making a big mistake.
So you're saying some real shit, bro. And this is what I always say. Anybody. So I've had some people like that knew they were going to go up the road and they come to me for advice because they knew I didn't have problems and I had respect and I didn't have to kill nobody to get respect. I didn't have to hurt nobody to get respect. All I had to do was stay true to who I was. I carried myself the exact same way I carried myself in the street, and I never had a problem, right? And not that I didn't have like uncomfortable situations, but I never had no problem. I never had to knife nobody. I never got knifed. I never even got in a fight. Come close, but never even had a fight. And so, you know, and I credit that to the way I carry myself, right? But to the point that you're making right now. So that's what I was gonna say. Me and my Cody, our first day on the chow yard, right? The dude that came in on the bus with us, another white guy, he's like, hey, come over, sit with us. This is where we sit over here. So now I don't plan on going with this guy. I don't fucking know this guy. And I don't know where the fuck he's trying to get us to sit. I don't know none of these people, but I promised my homeboy I wouldn't leave him. So we go and sit at this table, and right away I'm looking at all these guys, and they don't look like people I would deal with in the streets, bro. Yeah. I start peeping like the double lightning bolts. I start peeping like the Confederate flags. I see they do the swastika, but they make it look all hidden and shit, right? So yeah. So I'm like, and I'm looking at my dog, and I'm grilling him. I'm like mean with him, like, bro, this ain't. And I'm shaking my head. You know what I mean? And then as soon as we leave, I'm like, listen, bro, we are not sitting there no more. And it was only a matter of time. I already had 2 co-defendants there, and I had a bunch of homeboys from Florida, and they're like, listen, man, this is a Florida table over here, right? And so, but from that day on, those white boys that acted like we were best friends, they didn't speak to me at all. I'm seeing the same ones. I'd be like, yo, what up, such and such? And they wouldn't even look at me, bro, because they see that I'm not sitting with people that look like me.
So the white boys in the pen try to pull me up all the time as soon as I got there, because I'm a lazy motherfucker, right? And so one thing they say, like, you gotta be, when the doors pop, you gotta be up with your boots on. I'm sleeping until lunch sometimes. I don't give a fuck, right? So if you got to come take off on me while I'm sleeping, that's on you, right?
And did y'all used to in the pen, like, because I used to see this in a medium, but I know they brought this from the pen. I was in a medium high, I wasn't in a pen. Yeah. I was in Atlanta USP for
close enough. Yeah,
week.
You go there, everybody. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's kind of like Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's the scariest fucking prison in the BOP, and the oldest, I'm pretty sure, prison in the BOP. It looks like a fucking dungeon. You're thinking like werewolves is about to walk out of this bitch, but at that yeah, man.
Messing with those white boys, right? So what happened was, another thing they tried to pull me up for is I used to go to the shower in my slides. You know, in Japan, you have the showers in the units, and it's just a one-person shower. Most people, if you're in a gang, what will happen is your homeboy will stand outside the shower while you're in the shower. But I don't got no homeboys. I'm right, an independent white boy. When I first got there, I go into the unit and I started talking to people. They're like, hey, where are you from? I was like, I'm from Florida. And they were like, oh, Florida basically just got beat off that compound because they were all hot, right? Like everybody from Florida except for one dude.
And for those who don't know, it ain't like hot. So you people say hot boy, this and that. When you're in prison, you ain't trying to be a hot boy. That means you're a rat. That means you're snitching. Yeah. So we had to change that vernacular real quick. Yeah. You know what I mean?
So I go out there like, oh, there is one other guy here from Florida, so we're going to take you to the rec yard because he's in another unit, so you could talk to him. He's probably going to be your shot caller. I was like, all right. So I go out there and I'm talking to the dude. He's like, what are you in here for? And I tell him, he's like, oh, I ain't doing no shit like that. I guess you're the shot caller. I said, hell the fuck no, I ain't. So the whole time I was there, I had to ride with Tennessee and Missouri, right? As an independent white boy. So I had to answer to 3 cars, which is just too much politics. Yeah. You know, the same thing, I used to go to the shower in my slides. And so they pulled me up and they said, you can't go to the shower in your slides. What if somebody takes off on you? I said, somebody have to take off on me while I'm in my slides instead of my boots. Like, that's on them. Yeah. They also used to hate me because I used to heavy in there. I didn't know him on the streets, but I used to know a guy named Eugene Davis, boss of the Bay, Gene, right? He's got a life sentence in there, but he had the biggest store on the freaking compound. And since I was from the same area and I was cool with him, I could go in there and get whatever I wanted. And these white boys used to be like, why do you deal with him? Go to his store. Because he hooks me up. It gives me free stuff. I don't got to pay him for 2 months if I don't want to. The white boys are
the biggest fucking haters.
They like, y'all ain't even got a store.
They really are. They're the biggest fucking haters in there, bro. You know what I mean? Some probably watching right now, mad as fuck at us, bro. Like, but listen, it is what the fuck it is, man. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Wrong is wrong, right is right. And if you pressing people on politics, motherfucker, you're wrong.
So my thing is, what I learned, the thing that keeps you out of trouble is if you just hustle all the time. Yeah. And one of my first hustles in there was stealing out the chow hall. I'll be a thief 7 days a week in there. Chicken day on Thursday. I'll be loaded up with chickens going back to the unit. You get $1 a piece, or it's like 70 cents, whatever the stamp is worth, right?
Two stamps for a leg quarter.
Sometimes.
That was what it was, bro. 2 cents to going rate.
My main thing, though, was typing. Once I learned I could type in there, I had those old-ass
That's the only hustle I had. I could type my ass off. I go in there and type.
Well,
I think it was like, what was it a minute? Like a dollar page. Dollar page, yeah.
And then we'll see the 70-cent dollar, but so I stopped using the ink ribbon because the ink ribbon is like $12. You get about 21 pages out of it. So that's your profit right there. So what I started doing is I stole a whole bunch of carbon copy paper from the library, and I would just use I could use the same sheet like 10 times. I was banking off there because I'll type anything. If you wrote a fiction book, your gang manifesto, I don't care, all kind of weird area stuff, I typed it up for them, $1 a page, gambling tickets, whatever else. If you needed to, I just sit there and type people's emails too because I could type fast. So they would just stand there and dictate the email. If y'all don't know this, if you're in prison, you do use that email. It's like 5 cents a minute.
Yeah, so they charge you about a minute. So if you can't type, if you picking and pecking, it's just going to run up.
And it's charging you up while you reading and everything too. So people, they'll pay you just to save money. And if you can type fast, you always have work to do in prison. You know?
And believe it or not, there's a lot of grown-ass men in there that literally cannot read.
Oh, yeah.
A lot. And people that you might have known from the street, like, goddamn, I didn't know bro couldn't read.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not mocking anybody.
Some of the smartest people
like,
I met in my life were illiterate. And I know that sounds weird. You know, like I develop software and stuff like that. Like I consider myself to be at least kind of average intelligence. And there's people I know that's illiterate that's smarter than me. But like being able to read and write doesn't really mean anything in the world because you have different types of intelligence depending on what you've been doing and where you've been at, you know? So anyway, going through the pen was kind of rough. Before I went to the pen, though, I would say I had an experience that was worse than going to the USP. And that's when I was up there, I still had open state charges in Florida. That was from, a mass armed robbery I had going back a long time ago. I was still fighting that when I went to the feds. Okay. And one of my lawyers used to be a prosecutor. And when he got indicted, I had another lawyer who used to be a prosecutor. So I basically drug the case out because if I would have got sentenced in the state first, my federal sentence would have got enhanced. It would have pushed me over another.
And a lot of times they run consecutive.
And not
concurrent. So those who don't know, consecutive means you have to do it after. Whereas concurrent, they run it together, so you can be doing all your time together. But what these motherfuckers like to do, and a lot of times what they like to do is they like to hold your case until you're done. So here you think you're at the end of a bid, and you think you're going home, and the motherfucking U.S. Marshals are waiting for you. Now you got to do it. That's what they did to my co-defendant. We had a conspiracy, and he wasn't even involved. He did one thing, and he got fucked up. So he ate the charge for everybody, and it was a state case, and he did state time. And here he thinks he's coming home, and as soon as he gets ready to go out, the marshals are waiting there. They indicted him. They fucking had to go
I seen it happen to some people
sense.
when they started doing that thing where they could check people that were doing fake scripts back a long time ago. I seen dudes get pulled out of prison because they had all the evidence now to indict them again. So I saw this open state case, and I was in New Jersey. One of the things that was giving me like a +7 points on my custody thing because it was an open charge. And so I went from New York down to New Jersey when I got in trouble there. I was in FCI Ferriton. And while I was there, the state of Florida decided to come get me. The feds would have flown me down there. They said, no, we'll pick him up in a van. And I got on this van, the worst experience of my life. I've been through bad stuff.
Awful. When I went in a van, it was
U.S.
awful.
Prisoner
Fucking
Transport
awful,
Company.
bro. Oh my God.
They picked us up in New Jersey and they drove us all the way around to Bangor, Maine in a bunch of weird circles. I went to the oldest jail in the country and I peed in their toilet, right? I forget where it was, but we went there on the van. Yeah. The whole van, all day, you eat the same thing. No, you eat a McDouble and a McChicken.
Oh,
that's what they give you.
Y'all came up, though. I mean, that's awful. I would never eat that or feed it to my child. But in there, that's like lunch. You got a chicken, you got a fucking burger.
But here's the thing, though. So, but you're in a van, right? And there's a cage right here where they might put 3-4 females over to your left in the same little spot. And then you're basically all this in there on 2 different sides. You can't move. You're shackled all the way up.
No.
You can't.
And you're shackled to the person next to you.
No, when I was there, I think we were just shackled to ourselves.
Okay.
But I mean, one time when the van didn't have a lot of people in it, I got down on that gross-ass floor and tried to take a nap. But what would happen is they would go somewhere like, hey, we're in Philly, and the people that's driving this got arrested. So they would drop us off at the county jail. By the time we get into booking and put our masks down, they're like, all right, roll it up. Get back on the van. Yeah. That was torture. I've seen people go crazy. If you treat people like animals, they'll start to act like animals.
So I said the van was my worst experience, but that was a lie. Yeah. My worst experience is when I had to take a fucking bus from Oklahoma, the holdover, to fucking Yazoo City, Mississippi.
They bust you all the way from
bust us from fucking Oklahoma. That was the worst fucking ride of my life. I almost peed in my pants. It's fucking freezing. You're smelling farts and shit and fucking who the fuck knows what else. And I was fucked up. I had fucking scabies from the hole because I came straight out the hole. Yeah, bro. So I was all fucked up, itchy. A god awful experience, bro. Like
the shoe sucks, and you don't ever go to solitary.
I'm not gonna lie though, bro. I'm gonna be real with you. I fucking love the shoe, believe it or not, because I like to isolate. I like to read. I like my shit
got
clean.
a celly in there. Like it sucks when like at that point in your life, I had to realize at some point like I'm living in a bathroom with another full grown adult.
Yeah, literally.
It's just like
literally.
There's nothing. Now I went to some place where they had 4-man cells, 3-man cells. I think one place had like a 6 or 8-man cell, but almost everywhere is 2-man cells, and you cannot get a cell to yourself. Not even in the shoe. Sometimes, by the grace of God, you might get a couple days of reprieve, but that's it. You're just constantly having to deal with somebody else. They might be from Nigeria. They might be from down the road. You got to learn how to deal with different types of people. You know.
So when I first went to my first spot, Williamsburg FCI, the medium high. It was all 2-man cells. They were made to be 2-man cells. Do you know by the time I left, I was there for like 2 years and some change. By the time I left, they fucking, they made all those 2-man cells 3-man cells. Wow. They just stacked them on top of each other.
And I was
packing us in there like fucking sardines.
I was a young jit in there. I was like 20 something. So
Me too. I came in at 22.
The first time I was on that top of the 3 bunks, I looked down and I was like, I can jump down from this. No, the fuck I couldn't. I hit the ground and I collapsed. I was like, oh no. How did they put some old people up there? You know, it's crazy because you cannot physically easily jump down from there without hurting yourself. You know, but that's how they pack you in like sardines. They say they count you like gold and they treat you like shit. Yeah. That's basically the feds.
Yeah, that's the feds. That's the feds. So okay, and then, so you were in the USP, and then where'd you come home from?
So actually, what happened is I got sent from the USP when I finally waited the year and everything was good because you got to see team, even though I didn't have the points to be in the USP. You're supposed to have 24 points or more to be there. I was in there with like 17 points. So when I finally got out of there, I went to Jessup, Georgia, and FCI down there, and it was like Candyland. They tell you when you get there, they say, Jessup, Georgia doesn't have any cameras. We have never had a murder in Jessup, Georgia. And I just came from hell on earth. Like one of the prisons where like, I wasn't personally ever scared for my life, but I heard some traumatizing shit in there. One time I walked by a room where some people were jumping on some dudes and hearing the sounds that was coming out of that man.
Yeah, bro.
I can't forget it. You know what I'm saying?
So in my experience, you would just hear squeak,
sometimes, no.
And then all of a sudden everybody spread out and you just see a motherfucker leaking and everybody else gone.
No, the scariest thing is when you're in the unit in the daytime and almost everybody's gone and you hear you'll hear people just sharpening shit all day. They'll take the plastic lids off trays. They call it vampire killer, and they'll just roll that shit up and melt it into big ass steaks. They got bone crushers in there, everything. They'll cut a whole piece off the bunk, big piece of metal, everything. You don't want to be in there and be having problems with somebody because almost everybody within their immediate range has something like that.
Oh, there's knives all over the place. But even in the low, like, you know what's so crazy? So I was in the USP and it was unfortunately I lost some homies in there, but I didn't lose them from violence. I lose them from negligence. You know what I mean? Like that's what this Live Struggle Legacy podcast is all about. My big homie Tim, he was in Williamsburg with me.
You better not never have no medical
and he was in the zoo with me, and he had an aneurysm in his leg. And then I had another homie, Ayu, God bless the dead, Ayu's father was Malachi York. I don't know if you ever heard of him. He's a political prisoner, and he was like a big shot, But anyway, Ayu, very, very sharp dude. And white collar. He was one of the few white collar people. The only reason he was in a medium high is because he was at an Atlanta camp and he fucked up and he got caught with something. I don't know. But Ayu used to teach Yoruba. He would teach, African spirituality. And he was just one of the smartest people
I used to go to all that stuff in
my
prison.
life.
It's a great way to kill time. I went to the church, the synagogue, the mosque. I meditated with the
Me
Buddhists.
too. I used to stay in the chapel. And matter of fact, I used to teach a spiritual yoga class in the chapel that I took over from the homie Sunshine. Shout out to homie Sunshine. Sunshine came in during the crack era on like a 30-something year sentence, man. And then he came out on the crack law. When they changed the crack law, that sent him home. But he did, 22 years, bro.
It's like I hope my homeboy Eugene Davis can come home one day. They gave that man a life sentence, and so when I typed a lot, I never did people's legal work. At the beginning, I kind of entertained it, but after a while, I said I'll type up your legal work or that somebody else gives you, or read your stuff over, but I'm not going to be your lawyer. I'm not a jailhouse lawyer,
So before you go, I just want to clear up some things because we're talking about things that to us is normal, but I think the audience is probably hearing these things like, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
So you talk about points, right?
Yeah.
And you come in on points on a custody level, right? And your custody points determine your level of security. So in Fed, you have minimum security, which is camp. You have low security, which is a fence with barbed wire but open bay, right? And then you have a medium, which is triple barbed wire and cells.
There's gradients of mediums, though.
Exactly. I was in a medium high, so it was triple barbed wire gun tower. I mean, it's almost like a pen without the wall. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing that makes a pen is they actually have a wall, a big ass wall, multiple gun towers.
Well, and also a lot of people in the pen, they have so many points because if you're younger, you get points. If you have violent crimes, you get more points.
Exactly. So to Def Child's point, like when I came in at 22, I was a nonviolent drug offender, but they put me in a fucking medium high because I was under 25, right? And then all of a sudden you turn 25. I turned 25 in there, and then my custody points dropped so low.
As long as you ain't been in trouble during that whole time.
Well, I went outside 2 custody levels. You can't be 2 custody levels. They put me in a fucking hole. You know what I mean? And they put me in a fucking hole. Yeah, that's what they do. It's like so if you're at a now they're not gonna put you in a hole at a low. But if you're at a medium and you score out the camp points, you're going to the fucking hole because it's a liability,
like security risk.
If somebody fucks you up and you're minimum security, then they're like, oh, what was he doing in there? It's a potential lawsuit.
Yeah, I wish I would have had some shit like that when I went to the pen because I was telling them the whole time. So I got in trouble for supposedly threatening the chaplain over at FCI Ferriton. And I appealed it. You can appeal that stuff first to your region, then you can appeal it all the way to DC. Yeah. So I'm in Oklahoma on my way to the pen when my appeal gets granted. So I beat it because I sent an email, a strongly worded email, because we had it going on in the chapel. We were doing everything in there. We had all the stuff, and everybody was cool. The whole compound was nice.
That's how it was at every spot I was at.
This new chaplain came in though, and he shut it all down. He shut down the grape juice. He shut down the matzah. He shut it all down.
Bro, were you a food Jew in prison?
No. Oh, so I tried all of them. Jew in there. I did all of them.
But I had a very specific reason why. I've told it on the show, but because you remember the Gunners.
Yeah.
So if you haven't watched season 1, you have there's a term, there's a special kind of person in there. They're pretty prevalent. They're in every jail and every prison. They call them the mad gunner.
They call them gooning now.
Gooning now. Yeah, they call it gooning now. Exactly. And that's when you masturbate on people. So these fucking sick fucks would be sitting next to you in the chow hall with a jacket over them, and you see the jacket going up and down. And then they got their fucking their Chomo 3000s, their fucking state issue glasses, right, with the big ass lenses, so you can't see where their eyes are looking. They'll be looking at the female lieutenant or the nurse or something, and fucking gunning them down. But here's the thing: they're in the kitchen. Where do you think they fucking put their fucking? Where do you think
they say? Don't put your meat beaters on me. That's
well, they come in the fucking trays and they come in the cups that fucking that barely get washed and they recirculate. So my first fucking like month on the yard, I peeped that and I went straight to the chapel and I said, yes. I had to go over what I had to take a test. Leviticus 11. I'm a Jew. I'm a Jew. I need kosher meals. Cause if you're kosher or halal, if you're Muslim or Jewish, they give you a
special diet.
A special diet. It's sealed. It's sealed up though. It's sealed. Nobody can touch it. It's airplane food.
Well, basically, if you've been in there for a while, you get the same 5-week menu. Every Wednesday is hamburger. Every Friday is fish. Yep. Every Thursday is chicken. And they rotate it. Like 1 week might be baked chicken and then it's barbecue chicken and stuff. But after some years, you get tired of eating that same shit all the time. And they will switch up the menu every couple years. But that's why I tried all the ones. The low salt diet one. The halal kosher, just to switch it up. Especially when I worked in the chow hall, I got tired of eating all that food,
Yeah.
And it's a nice little change of pace. And then the other benefit is you get, if it's during that time of year, you can put in a special commissary order that people can't order for, and you get all the like Hanukkah stuff, I think it is.
Yeah, I used to get the fucking dates. I used to get
what's those macaroons and stuff?
But you made me think of it because of the grape juice.
Yeah,
you get the grape juice, you get the macaroons, and of course you get that grape juice, and everybody's pressing
it's
because
gold
they want to make wine.
There.
Yeah, they want to make wine with the grape juice.
Most guys in there, they don't even need that stuff. They're making wine almost everywhere, some kind of alcohol. They'll figure it out.
Bro, I've seen the most innovative shit. So bro, here's my story. And fucking when I got to Yazoo City, holy shit. It was the craziest fucking spot you ever saw, bro. They had the drop ceilings. So I'm sitting there taking a piss, and all of a sudden I see a foot come out of the ceiling. He almost stepped on me. He must have not have knew that I was standing there. And then he goes, I remember his name was White Boy. He was cool as fuck. He'll knife a motherfucker out there. Matter of fact, some shit had popped off when I was there, but that's relevant. So he's stepping down, and he almost stepped on me. And then I'm like, and I'm not like ready to fight. He's like, oh, my bad, bro, my bad. And then I realized what he was doing. They got the wine up in the drops, cooking. But some genius, innovative motherfucker somehow, I swear to God, bro, he turned one of the showers in the low. He somehow took the shit off. I don't know if he got tools from facilities or what, but he put the wine inside the shower and somehow made it like a dispenser. So it would like cook and dispense. Bro,
that's sick.
Bro, they took our fucking dryers when I was in a medium. This is a different spot. They took our dryers because another genius innovator motherfucker somehow line the inside of the dryer and turn it into a distiller. So every time you run your clothes in the dryer, you're cooking, and then we're making clear.
You know what a stinger is and stuff.
Yeah, hell yeah. So for those who don't know what a stinger is, we would get fried food. They would fry fucking everything. I had my first fried burrito in that bitch. You know what I mean? But they would take. Somehow we had these plastic trash cans. They'd be about this big, and if you're listening and not watching, about 18 inches tall, like just a little trash can like you see in a hotel room or something. And they take dental floss and they cut it in half, right? And a lot of spots don't let you have dental floss because you cut through the bars. But
cut through the bunk, and that's how people make it.
Exactly. So and then what they do is they somehow steal the iron, and then they break the electrical components off the iron, and then you just they got outlets in there, right? And then what you do is you plug it in the outlet, and then you put the electrical components into
you're just running electricity straight into it.
They're running electricity straight into it, and they'll steal shortener, vegetable oil from the kitchen and put it in the trash can with the stinger and the electricity, like raw electricity that could fucking kill you. That's what they use to melt the oil, and they would fry shit in the trash can.
Did you ever see somebody pop a socket or anything like that? So a lot of people when you're in prison, if you ever have to make a fire, which sometimes you do, most people will use a battery, scratch off by the one terminal, and then you take we used to take those Goya seasoning packs and cut a little strip off it and turn it into like a little loop. And then when you connect it to the two parts of the battery, it catches fire real fast, and you can get a wick going with a piece of toilet paper. But if you don't have that, like in Oklahoma, you don't get no commissary the whole time you're there. If you're there and you get a job after a while, they will let you order. That's what I did the last time I went there. I was smart. But as soon as I went in, I tried to sign up for a job. But in Oklahoma, you don't have batteries and stuff like that. So they have two ways of making a fire there. One is they'll take a razor blade and bust it up and put it in the microwave real fast and turn it on for a second and try to catch something on fire. But it's right in front of the CO's office.
Yeah, bro.
The CO is right there, right?
And you know what they'll do? They'll burn toast on purpose. So, that's what we used to do to cover up smoke smell. Burn the motherfucking toast. They put toast in the microwave and nuke that shit. Now the whole unit's fogged up. You don't know what they're smoking in there.
So popping the socket, though, is where you have the socket in the cell, and you take pencil lead and you put one pencil lead on one side and another pencil lead on another side, and you take a third pencil lead and you wrap it in a wick like a piece of toilet paper and you dangle it between them so it arcs, and then you catch another piece of toilet paper on fire so you have a wick.
From the socket? From the electric socket?
And if you do it wrong, they'll know because you'll flip a breaker and it'll be black all on the wall. But if you do it right...
and yes, Mike, go to medical.
I don't know what happens in Oklahoma when you get in trouble. I didn't ever try to find out.
Well, I was there because I was in trouble, and everybody that I was there with, was there because they were in trouble. But one thing I can say about Oklahoma, it was shitty. Yeah, it's fucking jail. But they had some of the best food out of any holdover, and it was probably the cleanest spot.
Oh yeah,
out of every holdover.
It's just like living in a bus station though, because you can't get anything.
Exactly.
You're just kind of stuck there in limbo for.
But the commissary was fire. None of us ordered. I didn't have commissary or phone because I was on disciplinary. But you know what? I think my phone did turn on in Oklahoma. I wasn't supposed to have a phone, but when you go through transit.
Oh yeah, they'll mess up all kinds of times and everything.
But yeah, man. I don't know how much more of the prison shit you want to talk about.
So I'll
we don't have that much more time, and I want to.
So I went. After that, I ended up getting in trouble at Jessup. Right, it was too sweet. They basically rolled up my whole unit from there, and I got shipped out back through Jacksonville, back through all that shit, and I ended up going to Estelle, and that was
South Cat.
That was mind blowing.
That was like the sister spot, I think, to one was Estelle, Bennettsville, and Williamsburg.
Yeah,
all in
stuff like that. I think there's another one over there too, if I'm not mistaken, or it's in that same general area.
Bennettsville.
But Estelle was, it was a nice compound.
Edgefield.
something like that.
Edgefield, yeah. Estelle is Carolina, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And okay, so it's a nice compound. It wasn't as nice as Jessup. It wasn't as wide open as Jessup, but it's just weird. Like all the politics I was used to in the pen, they didn't have none of that shit at those two compounds.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit at Jessup, but it was just like weird to me to be able to go interact with whoever and not have somebody else maybe side-eyeing me from over there because the other person looks weird or something like that. People don't even make sense, the type of stuff they think in there. So I end up timing out from there from when they passed that all drugs -2. Listen, I didn't know I was going to go home, right? Because when they did that shit, it kicked me out, right? So I'm sitting there one day and my cellie at the time worked in the chow hall and I'm just in the unit sitting there in the break. I didn't even get to say bye to my cellie or nothing because they said, roll it up. I was like, no,
that's a great thing to hear. Usually,
I thought they were fucking with me. I said, no, I don't. I got some time left. I ain't
when they
going
say roll it up, that means your ass is going somewhere. You may not know where you're going, but your ass is going somewhere. A lot of times, though, these motherfuckers roll it up and they're going back to court to testify.
Yeah, or when you get rolled up, it's because you're getting shipped out somewhere else you didn't know. But typically, if you're going somewhere, you'll know because of team. Unless they're fucking with you, which they love to do to people in there. They say they got a spin game in there. You go to the counselor, they say, oh, you got to go to your team leader. You go to the team leader, they say, oh, you got to go over to the doctor. And especially if you have a medical thing or something, they'll just spin you from person to person to person so they don't have to deal with your ass. Yeah. If you do have to go see a doctor, you might have to wait 2 weeks in there to put in a thing and finally get put up on the thing to go out there. It's messed up what they do to people in there. And so I got out all of a sudden. I didn't have nowhere to go. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm all of a sudden just in the Carolinas with like whatever was on my books, like $120 freaking. I hadn't smoked a cigarette in years. First thing I did was buy a pack of Newports. But by the time I got to Florida, I smoked that whole pack of Newports. I was at a pack a day habit as soon as I got out of prison, right? So my life wasn't really going too great. Like, yeah, okay, now I'm out of prison. I had to go live with my parents and stay in a closet they had that was like a little bit too big to be a closet, but too small to be a bedroom, right? And so I slowly started trying to get my life back together, though, and trying to get things going. Because before I was into the drug game, selling research chemicals, all that type of stuff, I was a computer programmer. That's what I've been doing most of my life. So I started trying to get back into that. Wasn't quite going well for me. It's hard when you have a record and all that type of stuff. You mean when you first came home? Yeah, when I first came home.
Yeah, I went through the same shit, bro. Over 100 job applications and 100 no's. Yeah, I had to get a job through my homeboy, bro. No, but not even Burger King, not even the fucking Dunkin' Donuts down the street, bro.
It sounds like oh, this is a dream job type thing, but I started DJing strip clubs because nowhere else would fucking
hire from the halfway house?
No, listen, so I didn't go to the halfway house. I timed out immediately from the thing. Immediate release from that shit.
But I thought everybody had to go to the halfway house.
No, listen, I had to go to the halfway house at the end because I kept fucking up, but I was technically out on probation when I did that. So that's why I was actually under a different thing than most people, because when I was on that probation, what happened was I kept fucking up. I kept getting dirty urine and stuff.
Oh, that's what it is. Everybody has to do paper. Not everybody has to go to the halfway house. So, but if you do paper, you have to do paper.
3 years at least. Minimum 3 years. You have to do it.
Feds keep an eye on your ass.
So right at the end of the 3 years, I fucked up so many times from weed. That's what got me every single time. I kept failing the UA. They sent me to the freaking halfway house in Tampa that, what's the one over there? Off
Hillsborough.
The Goodwill?
The Goodwill, that's where I was, yeah.
Oh my God, that place was wild, bro. I couldn't believe it. Now, it's co-ed. There's females and stuff in there too.
There was babies in there too, bro. Oh my God.
Not when I was there.
I'm not gonna lie. When I was there, it was like, damn, what the fuck is she doing in here? But it was fed shit.
Well, so they hated me there because at the time when this happened, I was already working at the strip club. By this point, I'm managing the strip club, right? Yeah. So I went from DJing at the strip clubs, which was pretty fun, to, I met Jonathan Bell. He really hooked me up, showed me the ropes of stuff, how to basically handle a club, and I started managing the clubs, and that's when I got in trouble. I had to go to the halfway house. They tried to tell me that Goodwill. They said, you can't work at a strip club, but technically I wasn't under them, under the BOP. I was under my probation officer. I had to fight for like 3 weeks, the paperwork game, because they were trying to have me. I gave up. I was like, they're not going to let me go back to work. I started applying to like go sell Kirby vacuums or something like that, door to door. Yeah. Finally, my probation officer got put through. They hated me because I said, you're only allowed to have so much money on you there. I think it's like $100 some, something like that. I would have it all in ones, and everybody would come see me for the vending machine and stuff. Yeah. Oh, it was so fun. But at least at the end. So then finally I was done with all that stuff. I mean, I haven't been in trouble now, technically. I can say I haven't been in trouble in over 10 years. It feels good to say that at this point in my life, because for most of my life before, I couldn't say that. So I started to get my stuff together. I started to do really good at the clubs. Then the girl that I'm with now, my mom and her mom knew each other since they were in elementary school. Wow, okay. Basically, we grew up together and stuff. We were like high school sweethearts and stuff like that. Didn't really work out. We went our different ways. But then at this point, everything started to come back together. That's how I got into there with Buddha, Rip, when I first got over into baby dolls, was because my girl basically put in the word for me to go over and start doing this type stuff. And so I got absorbed into that industry, and it kind of helped me out. and I got my girl back. You know, the one thing I thought would never happen. And then now I end up having a kid. So when my son was about to be born, I said, I can't be working in the strip clubs anymore. I can't be DJing. I can't be managing. I can't live this type lifestyle if I want to have a family and raise my son and stuff. So once again, just like when I took any job and ended up working at the strip clubs, I took a random telemarketing job for a solar company, and they had a software that they were using for, you know, handling booking of appointments and everything, and it was bad. It didn't work. So I went home one weekend and I wrote a new one in my free time, and I showed it to them, and that was like on a Monday. By Wednesday they launched it like globally, and I've been doing that ever since. You know,
that's what's up, man. Congrats. I love that. And I love to hear a success story from people like us, bro, because how many people do you know that came out or got on drugs or got killed or just did some dumbass shit and went right back?
That's the number one thing. Like a lot of people I was really cool with in there, when they did go home, most of them, it was like about a year. Most of them didn't make it out of the halfway house that I know. You know, it's crazy.
And I can't tell you how many times, you know, I talked to one of the homies that was at a different spot with me or whatever, and they're like, oh, you remember such and such? It's like, yeah, what about him? Oh, man, he got shot 18 times.
Oh, yeah, no, I feel it's like it's a curse. Like a lot of times, and that's what happened to me. I got hit by that same curse, because when I got popped for that mass armed robbery shit and I bonded out, it was like $60,000. I had to pay 10%, which is like $6,000, like that. That was a lot of money even to me selling drugs, you know what I'm saying? But when I bonded out, I knew that everything like that is like a double tap, how to get you in life. You know, a lot of times, if you know somebody just bonded out on some crazy stuff, gotta tell them to be careful, because the next bad thing is going to come right behind. I know they say like bad things come in threes, but I see these people get double tapped. It happened to me, you know?
Yeah. But man, what a blessing, bro, and much respect, bro. I just want to give you your flowers on the show because you're doing well. And I want to promote you a little bit. We don't have that much time left, bro. So I want to talk about what you do with music, what you do with production, and then anything that you got cooking that you want to share with our people, bro, because they are going to fuck with it. I'm telling you right now, our people like this.
Yeah, I got a website, deadenddeafchild.com, but you can also find me on YouTube and stuff. I have about 50-some videos. Some are just visualizers, but
Dead End Deaf Child.
Yeah, like Dead End Deaf Child. Like, have you ever seen those street signs that says Dead End Deaf Child? When I was growing up, I lived on a street that had those signs on it. My friend's brother was deaf growing up. When I see those signs, I think they was talking about me. Like, my life is a dead end and I'm a deaf child. Why am I even making music? You know, but I've been producing music my whole life. It's the one thing that's always been there for me. Like, when I was a kid, I started playing with keyboards and guitars. So I used to play bass in a rock band. And then I really got into production heavy. I was always fascinated with, like, especially people like DJ Paul, Juicy J, that type of production, as well as like Trent Reznor from 9 Inch Nails, stuff like that.
I fuck with that,
you know, so that's I was heavy into like sound design stuff, and I used to mess with all kinds of different rappers to do their engineering, record them and stuff. I'm not the best at it, but I can do in a pinch. You know, I remember back then we used to use used to be called Cool Edit before Adobe bought it, and now it's called Audition.
Yeah,
right? So,
familiar.
Yeah, so we used to use all that type of stuff, and now I produce like all kinds of bass music mainly, but I'll mix it with everything. I have remixes of stuff with like Twista, Crime Mob, all kind of stuff. A rapper from Europe called Razor. But I make like kind of weird avant-garde bass music, but I also release it for free. All my songs, some of them I sent to distributor, and you can find them on Spotify, iTunes, all that type of stuff. But most of my stuff I put on my website for free, so you can download a high quality version of it and not have to get some low bitrate thing from somewhere else. I don't have to worry about Spotify or SoundCloud has reduced the quality of my audio. You know, so that's why I try to do that, to at least maybe somebody's a DJ or they really want to actually enjoy something at a high bit rate, I can provide it. A long time ago, I've been programming for a very long time. There used to be a very popular torrent website called oink.imi.uk, and it went down. It was only for music. It was a private torrent community for sharing music a long time ago, like 2005 era. When it got shut down, me and some other people, we launched another very popular torrent tracker called waffles.fm. It actually changed to waffles.ch at some point, but Waffles was a very big torrent tracker. The major competitor to it was one called what.cd.
So tell us about what a torrent tracker is.
So a torrent tracker is basically like it's like a website or a piece of software. It doesn't have to be a website, where this is an invite-only thing. So let's say you get an invite to it, you go there, and whatever kind of music or software, these were only related to music, is on there. Samples, audio,
software. Is that almost
software.
like a Discord?
It's mainly for piracy.
Okay.
That's what it's for, you know? So these were meant like forums back then. This is 2007. Yeah. So everything was basically like forums of stuff, and you could find whatever you wanted on there. Some artists,
LimeWire kind of?
Yeah, some artists even leak their music on there because it's a great way to get traction.
Exactly.
Right? So that type of stuff I did for a while, and it sucked because it was one of the greatest things I did in a while. We scaled to over 100,000 registered invite-only members, right? But I couldn't go walk into a job and be like, hey, y'all, look at this thing I did. this questionably illegal, you know? So even now, I develop all kind of stuff. I make websites and software. I work for this solar company. I do marketing stuff, booking software. I had like a billion different website ideas, and all ones that are, some of them aren't even out there now. On my main website, deadenddeafchild.com, I go through, there's a part in the bottom where I link some of the other projects I'm working on now. There's all kind of stuff. If somebody else has an idea they want to bring it to me, a lot of times I work for free in the beginning, and I like to show people what I can do, because I've had a passion for programming and stuff my whole life. Like, the things for me, it has always been like the 3 C's. Composing, like music, chemistry, and computers. And those 3 things always just intertwine, like they boost each other. I would get better at the chemistry, and then the computers would come back and be like, oh, hey, let's do some things with computers too, that now you can find these people in China. So the 3 things just always kind of fed back into each other. Now I just try to do everything legitimate. Even before I thought I was kind of doing stuff legitimate, I don't take no chances no more. Gray market, whatever. Nope.
You know what, man? One of my teachers I was talking to, and he was like, man, like, there's karma behind that shit. Like, here's the thing, like, it's one thing if like you're really hurting and you're trying to get hit, but if you're in the industry, like you're in the game and you're bootlegging everything and you're expecting people to like not bootleg your shit.
That's why I give my stuff out for free, because I know
because you're trying to clean up that car.
So you know what really got me? It's the 7 deadly sins. I would have never went to federal prison if I didn't have greed. That's the one that took me down. Everybody's different. They get taken down by different things. For me, it was greed. So I try not to be greedy in life. I try to give back more than I take from life. As hard as that is sometimes.
And that's so rare, bro. That's so rare, man. Yeah.
So once again, like any type thing, even if you got some other stuff coming up here, this has been a great experience so far. I've really enjoyed it.
Man, that's love, bro. And you've been such a big supporter of the platform. So it's been an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show tonight.
Yeah, definitely.
I want you to get everything out that you want to promote. But what's real important to me on this platform and like what we talk about is legacy. We build legacies. So Deaf Child, what does legacy mean to you?
I mean, to me, legacy means leaving something here that lasts longer than you. And that's what I try to do with most of my type stuff. I could be dead tomorrow, but the music I made and stuff will live on for a long time. My son will live on, the things that he does, So legacy to me is what kind of thing, like if you got hit by a bus tomorrow, what is still here that you did, and how does it impact people? How does it move forward? Are you forgotten about 2 days later, or do people still think about you 100 years from now? That's legacy to me. Somebody thinking about you in 100 years.
And so what's your life struggle legacy?
I mean, like, what am I gonna leave? Everything I can. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna leave a war trail of different stuff everywhere. I learned with projects, I had a lot of projects. Projects don't always come to fruition and have success, but the more you try and the more you get through those failures, the higher probability that something is going to be successful and it is going to be completed. So I always just start new projects and I keep trying no matter what kind of adversity or barriers pop up. I just keep trying, even if like producing music, I don't think I've ever made a single penny doing it. I made a lot of money as a DJ, live DJ all day, every day. That was great, but producing music, I don't even view it as really it cost me money, because I save myself by being able to have that cathartic process to go through the production routine, to put my emotions from my head and my heart instead into the music, into the whatever else is going on, so I can capture that moment. And sometimes you maybe don't get a chance to do that. Like the whole time I was in prison, I couldn't produce nothing hardly. I heard you said they had a band room in that one place, stuff like that. It's hard to get that stuff in there. Most places they don't even have it.
Like sometimes it's like a 4-year wait list. You got motherfuckers that have been in 20 years. They ain't going nowhere.
It's like getting in a Unicorn.
I was in Unicorn, bro. What? Yeah, they had. So you will not believe this. When I was in Unicorn, we got to wrap this up in a second. But when I was in Unicorn, bro, it was directory assistance. So back in the day, and I was there in 08 to 010. I think I got in Unicorn 2009, right? And we made a whole $1 an hour. And if you don't know, in prison, that's balling. You're making a whole $1 an hour.
$5.15.
Yeah, bro. We were making 12 cents an hour in most places, right? And I was making a whole $1 an hour in Unicorn. But when you call 411 and somebody says city and state, please, there's a good chance that they're sitting behind a fence somewhere.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, bro. I was doing directory assistant, and I would like travel through it. I'll never forget, bro. I'm sitting in Williamsburg, South Carolina. I'm fresh in on a fucking 12-year bid, bro. And I say, city and state, please. And they say Tampa, Florida. PF Chang's on West Shore. And I'm like, I just wanted to cry, bro, because I knew exactly where that
When I came down here on that van, I was so sad going over the bridge and stuff. I was like, fuck, because, like, I've been a lot of places, but nowhere feels like home to me outside of this. Like, I could move somewhere else, but I love St. Pete. I was born there. I'll probably die there if I had my way. I love the weather. I love the people. I love everything about it. So it's hard for me to go anywhere else.
Yes, sir, brother. I'm St. Pete, true and true.
Yeah.
So any closing remarks you want to leave with the audience?
I don't think so. You'll hear from me probably more in the future. That's what I will say.
Absolutely. We're going to check up on you, brother. And if y'all got any questions for Deaf Child, ask them in the comments. It's Deaf Child. Y'all make sure you check them out at, what is it?
deadenddeafchild.com. All one word.
deadenddeafchild.com. Well, brother, man, it's been such a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much for sharing your story and your energy with us today, man.
It's been awesome.
And I appreciate y'all checking in this large struggle legacy. If you haven't already done so, please hit that subscribe button, that like button, that notification button. If you got a question for Deaf Child, drop it in the comments. If you're listening on a streaming platform, please make sure you hit that follow, download, save, rate us. If you're looking to promote your business, holler at us. We're looking for sponsors. And make sure you check out livestrugglelegacy.com. We build a pyramid.
At Autism Acceptance All-Stars, it's more than awareness, it's action. When you sign up at the AAAS.org, you join a movement for acceptance, inclusion, and real impact. Don't miss our Memories Delivered program. We bring professional photographers right to the homes of autism families, capturing genuine moments in the comfort of their own space. Becoming an All-Star is free, but the difference you make is priceless. Visit the AAAS.org today. Be seen, be heard, be an all-star. If you'd like to promote your business on the show, please DM us for sponsorship opportunities. Thanks for tuning in. We out. Live Struggle Legacy. It's a whole movement.